And we live.
There we
Welcome
go.
to another edition of the FQ3C Roundtable. My name is Amy Falcon, Special Projects Director. Greetings from the Da Nang International Airport, where I am in between places in this beautiful. And because the airport, if you've got it at a certain time and the airport's not open, you just got to wait because they close the airport and do things. And then they open it again. So you're going to hear birds chirping and see people in the background, and it's all cool. And yeah, so Sing Hao from Vietnam. Hi. And we have Elizabeth Lise Viapondo Ellison.
It's only 30 minutes. You want me to set
Yes. Yes. And she is on her boat. I'd like to be on her boat. Yeah. So that's cool.
Welcome, everyone.
Love you.
Yeah. And John Mylan, a certified implementer.
Hi, implement.
If I may, I have finally cleared my schedule and managed to make it so that by the middle of next month, maybe the third week, I too will begin my certified implementer training.
Nice.
Yes. Yes. We love hearing that. Evan, that's fantastico. That's fantastico.
I'm very excited.
And yeah. John, how's the weather? John, how's the weather over where you are? You're in Colorado, right?
Yesterday was the warmest day. By the end of the week, we'll have snow.
Yep, it's getting to that time. Yeah. And Elizabeth, how's the weather in Oregon?
It's sunny today. It's kind of like one of those amazing days. And it's been like that a lot lately where it's, just sunny and then cloudy and then sunny and then cloudy.
Well, over here, it's mostly been cloudy and rainy. We're, we get another round of rain. It's typhoon season. So it's actually the weather really matches a lot the West Coast. It's just, it'll be very gray and rainy and windy. And I walk out and it's like, wait, it's not cold. I'm still in my shorts. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat that way. Yeah. And how's your late fall weather there, Shane? You're in North Carolina, right? Piedmont?
South Carolina, Piedmont, and I'm in shorts as well.
Yep. Yeah. It got breezy enough that I had to put a jacket on, which is like so weird. It's like, whoa, I've never gotten cold out here at night, but it's like the wind really picked up a bit. So it was like, so it's been great. I mean, the air, it's just gorgeous. It's just beautiful. I love to walk around everywhere. So it's really great for me. All right. Well, this is what we do, folks. We are the FQ3C team. FQ3C is a really, really cool tool for helping you learn to write a really, really cool goal for yourself and follow through with it with the best chance of success you've ever had, because you are doomed to succeed. And as we were just getting on, and we just come in every week and we talk about this stuff and we explore the different concepts of it, and we share with you other ways that you can join us, like our Fundamental Fridays, which is really cool. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. But Shane, you were going to tell us a fun story. And you have to bear in mind, there's airplanes going by.
All good. I don't think it's catching it.
Cool. Good. Well, that's good because it's really loud for me. I'm sitting under airplanes. All right. I like airports, though. It's cool. All right. What you were saying that you had an unexpected encounter with a Fox News person?
Yeah. So I was actually just taking my daughter to a playground just for her to hang out, and I was getting some work done while I was in the car. And there's this car just randomly like making weird zigzags and putting itself in weird places inside of the parking structure that we were at. And I was like, what is going on here? And finally they actually drove around me and they're like, hey, you. And I'm like, who are you? What are you talking to me for? And they were like, hey, yeah, there's this news story I'm trying to do. I'm a photojournalist for Fox News, and there's some disgruntled people, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to photograph here. Do you know anything about it? And what was interesting is FQ3C really came into play immediately, because the very first thing that, as we started doing our conversation, number one, they weren't quite clear on their goal. So I had to go through the process to extract that from them. After I extracted it from them, I was like, oh, okay, perfect. I know exactly what you're looking for. And then I was able to just be like, do you have any data or anything else that I can use? And she whipped out the ordinance for the city. And then in that ordinance, it had the plot numbers. And she, for whatever reason, didn't think that, oh, there's coordinates in this thing. The literal coordinates. And she's like, can you tell me which plot of land it is? I'm like, I don't know it. I'm not the person showing up to city ordinances. Like, I don't care. Yeah, I know. But I was like, you know, I do recognize that that is a coordinates, though. And I said, we just got to figure out what type of coordinate it is. And so we figured out, you know, that was just a map plot numbers. And with just 2 seconds, literally using our tool, I was able to say, how would I go about this? And it said, yeah, this is a location you got to go to. And I went straight there, plugged in the information, and I was like, yep, this is the plot of land. She's like, oh my goodness, I was so off. She wasn't anywhere near the plot of land. It was actually way on the other side. And she was on a time crunch, because once that sun goes down, she can't take her photos anymore. And this is like last 20 minutes of that perfect sunlight. So so it got me thinking. I was like, I was watching Shark Tank for the past 2 weeks. It's just been kind of in the background as I'm working, just get myself, I don't know, exhilarated, excited, I guess, more about like M&A type of stuff. And there's this one guy, I don't remember what the name of his product was, but he figured out that what you can do is you can create 2 screw tops onto a water bottle, one for the top, one for the bottom. And the bottom one, take it off so that you can air dry and you don't have all the gunk and stuff like that. And it's impossible to get your like scrubs and stuff like that into it. And it was just a simple design, nothing crazy, but yet it was such a smart idea. But he was like, I think he made like $180,000 in his first year after making the bottles. And they're like, well, how'd you do that? He's like, well, I didn't spend any money in marketing. They're like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I just went and bought myself a full suit of a giant version of his product, a mascot suit. And he found the Tour de France or something like that. And he just went there and then started running the whole route while all the bikers are going by him. And of course, all the news people and all the guys who are covering the event were loving it. They're just loving the crap out of it. And I was like, my goodness, that was so smart. That was so brilliant. And so when this news person, photojournalist, is like, yeah, I need help. And I was like, I'll help you out. I was like, what would happen to get your contact information? Could you help me figure out how to get a story of FQ3C into Fox News? Something that we can actually leverage, because the news is going to tell you so many people that I think are up the right alley for us, especially for us becoming an evidence-based model according to the government. So it's just really cool. Got the card, nice and easy conversation. Said if there's any questions I have, contact them directly. They said they know which people monitor which types of stories once we can figure out what story we might be part of. And really wonderful experience of FQ3C really quickly solving challenges, solving problems for her, and also opening up doors and windows for us. So I was just like, yeah, this is really cool. Yes, my love.
So I got a couple of questions for you. What persona do you think you used to do that? Of our 4 personalities, which one do you think you used?
That one was Gabe. There wasn't a need to. Yeah, that was just a Gabe quick question. Yeah. To go through a whole entire process. Sky would have taken way too long. Watson would have given more information than needed. I already know how to create a goal, so I don't need to use Lenny. So Gabe was the perfect fit for this scenario. And I was able to get very clear on exactly what she's doing, what's the information she has available, what's her FQ3C. And just like that, got her on her way. And And had she been using FQ3C, that's the thing, the more interesting part. Had she been thinking FQ3C, she would have looked at the numbers and thought, well, there's a reason why there's F here. F is supposed to help me with the rest of this. And she probably would have actually zoned in on it. Right? If you guys had coordinates, I'm sure that you would have been like, there's coordinates here. Now that you guys have been accustomed to FQ3C, let's look there first. Its frequency is typically the first starting point anyways for most people. So yeah, get the parcel number, figure out what that is first. And then she could have solved that on her own way before she ever came to me as she was driving around the parking lot. Meandering.
Well, that's interesting because we define frequency as a quantity within a parameter.
Mhm.
So how did that work out? How does that line up?
Well, the beautiful part is like for parcels, the quantity is the ID, the coordinate, and the coordinate own parameter, literally a perimeter of ID for this parcel. So it's ID 1 is allocated towards this parameter. It's literally definition by frequency. So if she would recognize that number and been like, it's a quantity within a parameter, I wonder what parameter it's actually displaying to me. It took me 15 seconds. Open up the app, plug in the number, and for this within the ordinance, and then it was like, yeah, great. Here's the website for you to figure this out. Went to the website, copied and pasted in there, and boom, map showed up. This is exactly the plot of land. And then she was like, oh, I know where I am now. It's like,
So if I may, so then the goal was to identify where the plot of land was.
Yeah, she did take a photo for the news tonight.
Yeah, and so Gabe just went, boom.
Yeah, here you go.
I know, I love it. I love it.
Did you happen to find out if she was able to get there and get her shots done?
I know because I know that she did, and the reason why is because there was about 15 minutes, and thankfully the parcel of land was only about a 3-minute drive. So she would have had just enough time to get to her destination,
set up,
take the snap, send it off to her superiors, and it's going to be on tonight's, right?
Oh, so you just turn around and kind of watch it tonight if you can.
Yeah, but she was really, really cautious because she, in news, you want to make sure you're talking about the right plot of land and the right stuff. And the area, some areas have a bunch of trees, some areas are completely just flat. And she's like, man, I don't know what I'm actually looking for. There's too much stuff here. And so, we were able to get her to the right plot of land so people could see exactly what it is. And I was like, if she had zoned in on frequency,
so this is a perfect example of why FQ3C can rewire your brain to do this intuitively or logically, instinctively, and naturally.
Yeah, because everything that's super successful is leveraging all of FQ3C at its max capacity, which means that your best of the best of the best of the world are using frequency. They know their numbers at the end of the day. If they know their numbers, they know their frequency, that's a really strong indicator of somebody who more than likely is actually successful in life, generally speaking. It's the people who don't know their numbers or who try to shy away from numbers that it's like you're leveraging that 9% that we talked about on pray, hope and prayer, and some people still do.
Yeah.
But that's it, man. That's all you got in your favor is the 9%. So yeah, it was interesting. And so what I did right away after that is I was like, let me just use this to create a goal for us to actually get onto the news. So while I'm driving, people don't text and drive. I did it regardless. I just quickly typed in to get onto the news and create a story that they'd be interested to take up. And Watson was my one. And literally as I was walking here, I was reviewing the goal on what I could actually look at. So I'm in that phase of going, am I willing to accept the conditions of this goal or not? That's it. That's where I am. And that's happened all within just 15, 20 minutes.
So speaking of getting into things, and we're talking about frequency, but what we're doing today is we're going to do a part 2 on continuity. We've been going through the five basic variables, and the consensus was that we had such a good time talking about continuity, and we're digging into all different kinds of things, that we're going to follow up and do a little more and kind of finish up the continuity so we can lead into next week in clarity, unless we get deeper into continuity, which could happen because it could. It could. So I know you, John, you and Elizabeth both had some of the questions that we were looking at last week. You wanted to bring those up and visit them. So,
actually, if I can I tap in real quick on what Shane was talking about? Only because it shows how FQ3C in essence is going to actually help change the standard of today's definition of continuity, which emphasizes that continuity is more about moving toward a long-term outcome objective. And but we actually take that concept and are able to make it so much faster. And that's the difference here. All the other models and everything else that are in psychology and just every industry I've ever been in are about, when we were talking about last week, and Don said some really cool stuff in there, about how the story of the rabbit or the hare and the turtle, you know what I mean? And they decided to take a race. And the turtle understood that, yes, if it stayed consistently in just going, because he knew the personality of the hare could potentially distract him. But see, the cool thing is FQ3C helps every person rewire into utilizing understanding themselves. So John, would you like to take it from there? And what were you going to weigh in on, if anything, about Shane's story?
I actually wasn't.
I know John has been getting a chance to explore the tools a little bit more, especially with the new launch of Blue. Did you get a chance to try that out today yet? I don't even know if you did or didn't.
I did.
You did not yet, man.
Okay.
He has too many clients to spend the time to do that within such notice.
And I'm in the middle of it. So I'm sitting with Babat, and then when we're finished, I'm gonna meet Blue.
Yeah, it's way more exciting now that you can actually just isolate it down to one variable if you want, choose which ones you want, or groups. Yeah, it's way more of a time savings than the original way that we were doing it with like Flexi Quiz and stuff. So yeah, it's been fun for me to actually use at this point. I know that this is kind of a little bit of jarring, but if you guys are open to it, since this is on the line of continuity, I thought it might be important for us to discuss something that is very heavily ingrained in continuity relative to our world today. Are you guys okay if we go into a little bit more of a meatier topic?
Of course, we were gonna get a little, because one of the things we wanted to dive into was leadership. So I think we're on the same trajectory. So let's go.
Mine's actually finance.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I had the pleasure of speaking with a gentleman. We'll just call him Josh, and he leads a men's group, and he probably has made 25, 30 million, 40 million over the past 10 years just in real estate related activities. Before that, he sold his business. And he's a fairly older gentleman who has lived now through not only 2008, but he also lived through portions of some of our other major crashes that happened prior. And he's witnessed people who've literally just lost their entire farmlands. He was talking about a story where there was this gentleman who had, I think it was like 5 rigs that were drilling oil, completely paid in full. And when I think it was 2008 happened, he had purchased the 5th one utilizing a loan, and the banks became insolvent, and they ended up going belly up, and they called him and said, hey, you need to pay up right now for this $5 million piece of equipment. They took it, threw it onto auction, and it sold for only about $125,000, and that $5 million is what wiped him out of the rest of his rigs, because he had to use them as collateral and stuff and sell them off to try and pay for it. And so I bring that up because if anybody believes what Trump is saying, that, oh, this is the greatest economy on the planet, you have your head in the sand. And this is not going political with left or right. I have my beliefs as to when this series of events started, and I think it's well before 2008 stuff started. So this is not to blame anybody, especially in the last, call it 4 or 5 presidencies per se. I think all of them have added to the fire instead of helping to take away from it, generally speaking. But I do want to say that we have effectively entered into the first phases of, call it pre-2008.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're able to do is use continuity to observe this. And so if you go and you take a look at 2008 and you take a look at the series of events that led up to it, I would highly suggest watching The Great Short, that movie, The Great Short. Never seen it. That gives a really interesting perspective into the series of events that unfolded. There's a lot of stuff prior to it, but that's huge. A great starting point, I'd say. We are seeing the activities happening internally with a lot of the companies, including the fact that a lot of the valuations of a lot of these companies are not what they say on paper. It's, I won't call it fabricated, more fudged. And unless in January something happens where all of a sudden the Treasury decides we're going to just go and print a bunch more money again to try and buy out all these bonds and push the fundamentals of what basically the nature of our economy and try and keep it afloat for another 3 years, maybe. I don't see that being a thing that they're going to do. It doesn't make any sense for them to do it other than from a political gain, which could absolutely exist. But I don't know. I don't have that information. Warren Buffett has that information, right?
Yeah.
But I will say this, and this is not to tell anybody what to do. This is to let everybody know that if frequency is, we are not in the greatest economy ever, and also the data, right, the parameters within these quantities is definitely showcasing down. If you have your quality of life is being hindered, and I was actually talking with the guy, he has probably about 25 million. He was like, you want to know the difference between a recession and a depression? In a recession, you lose your job. In a depression, I lose my job. I was like, yeah, that's the very non-technical way to look at it. But if we're looking at those numbers, then we're looking at the quality of life and everything else is going down. And then how consistent it is, not only here, but like across the globe happening at the moment, because we are in a global market. Then you look at the continuity of all the people who are able to see that consistency. They observe it, they understand it, and what are they doing? I would suggest figuring out what to do with your current assets.
If you have any.
if you have any, figure out what to do with your current assets. When you go into these types of conditions, it is about capital preservation. It's not about trying to grow. With that said, this is actually still really cool for FQ3C because there's going to be that many more people who need to have a solution to help them get through what's coming. And that's going to make FQ3C that much more valuable for the individual. And guess what? There's going to be plenty of sales going on in the housing market. There's going to be plenty of sales going on in the business market. People are going to be going on fire sale. And there's going to be a lot of people who might be threatened with, losing their jobs. And they're talking about right now with LIFO, et cetera, last in, first out. And with all those different factors, even in the M&A space, we still add value to be able to disclose and showcase the strength of the workforce and those who are actually adding to that strength, not actually retracting from it. And we are able to help give a tool to people where you got to move fast when stuff hits the fan. You got to move fast. And this is the tool that in those moments you go, oh, crap, I can't believe, I don't know why I didn't think about protecting myself or making moves right now to help fend off against what's coming. You could have used FQ3C to have made decisions way faster and done something with those funds. And this is a direct utilization of FQ3C and understanding the map of the 12 variables to take a look at it and observe it so you can solve for the rest of them to make whatever is your quality decision underneath these circumstances. And you know what? Some of us, it's just, we got to make more money. Others of us, we have 50,000, 100,000, 1 point whatever million dollars in the bank. And what happened last time in people's 401ks that they left it in the stock market is it dipped. And I mean, what was it, like 60 to 70% losses or something crazy? It was wild. It was those who actually took the right decisions before the events happened that were able to make the plays, hold on to it for about 3 years, and then they were able to go in and buy up and create wealth in those conditions. So this is at very big level, a continuity play, continuity observation, continuity discovery, leading to understand all the different factors of all the other FQ3Cs that are happening. And that's just something I want people to chew on. I did also want to mention another thing too. Like if you're going, oh man, he's telling me doom and gloom. I'm actually not. I got severed twice in 2 years. And I made more money in that short 2-year time period than any other time period that I've had, with the craziest amount of spike. It turns out it's in turmoil that if you have the right proper preparation and you're able to adapt and pivot, you're able to go and make a killing. I actually loved COVID. I wish I could go back to COVID. It was great. Every one of it. I loved it. I was like, dude, I wish it was like this all year round, every year. And I know many other people lost their jobs. They lost their homes. They were like, man, I need something to get by for the next month and all sorts of stuff. So I understand there's another side of that equation too. But this is to also let you know that, hey, listen, if you were cautious, and let's say you were to do something called extreme, take your money out right now, keep it in cash. 3 months goes by, and for whatever reason, the Fed decides, hey, listen, we're going to print a bunch of money, buy out the bonds, and do whatever else. Guess what? Your assets are going to appreciate. Just jump back in. Just jump back in. As simple as that. And then wherever you were before, take those positions again. You can upright it until the next potential thing happens. So I just want to throw that out there because it was really sad to see a lot of these guys that were around this gentleman not understanding anything he was saying.
Yeah.
I'm blessed because of my financial background. I was like, yeah, this guy's unfortunately saying the truth, and they didn't even know how to leverage that information to make a move. And I was like, man, if only they had our tool, they could take that information he just gave them, create an objective, and then get themselves to see their activities and, you know, either track it or, heck, you don't need to track that. Just go make it happen, potentially. And there could be so many of these guys who are still, even with that information, they're not going to change their continuity. They're not going to change the consistency of their habits and who they are today. They're not going to allow their internal variables to adjust enough to invoke action. They're not going to use it as motivation. They're still going to hold on to fear instead of hold on to the opportunity. There's still all sorts of stuff. And they're going to greatly suffer for it, more than likely. So there's just something on my heart today. I just wanted to let you guys know, even though I know sounds like dry and financial or whatever, but we live in a financial world. What are you going to do?
Well, thank you for sharing, as they say in the warm and fuzzy side. And of course, you know, you read that Michael Burry closed his hedge fund.
I did not read that, but that is another.
He closed it. He closed it, and people and the pundits are saying, "Oh, if Michael Burry closed his hedge fund, you know, it's time to check your powder and it's time to keep your powder dry." So you know, it just adds to what you're saying about that. You know, battening down the hatches and whatnot, and it's been interesting for me because I've been living outside of the U.S. since April of last year in Southeast Asia, and it's such a whole different perspective because you don't have the economic pressures that you do in the U.S. And you can do a whole lot. It's like that's another alternative, people, is you can take your capital and you can expat and you can do really well for you. You can write it out and really maximize the funds that you have and explore other opportunities. So shameless plug for America, get your passports and go out and see the world. It'll be great. Use your FQ3C. Go see other places. The coffee's great. The airports are beautiful. The bathrooms are amazingly clean. Like really clean. Like every time you go. Anyway, we digressing. Continuity. Now let's bring this back into continuity and leadership, because we were going to chew on that some last week. And everything you're talking about, Shane, is relative to businesses and M&A. These are leadership calls. And we were talking about the idea that there's been a trend for a while on things like wholehearted leadership, authentic leadership, putting various names on that, and they turn out to be, it's a very nice way of saying I self-report as a good person. And then of course, if you're looking at that lead, just to recap a little bit, we were going over an article that came out in Forbes that was saying, yeah, but what all these leadership titles are, authentic and everything else, are all self-reporting. And the people that work for that manager that might describe themselves as an authentic leader may or may not see them that way, because they have their own definition of what that is. And what we were bringing it back down to was, how does that play into continuity? Because we know continuity is frequency and quality. And no, that's consistency. Continuity is all of our other variables. Help me out here, people. Help me out.
You're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing good.
You think of it in two different ways. The technical ways, all the other consistencies, But the funny thing is every single one of those other consistencies also have their own FQ3C to them. So
Yeah.
So she's not wrong, but there's the two ways to view it.
Yeah. So the thing that's interesting about that is, of course, that article was saying the problem is that this is all subjective and there's no empirical way to measure this. And I'm like, oh yeah, there is. I got your name, dude. I'm going to send you a note. Because we do have an empirical way, and what's really cool is the continuity within a business structure or corporate structure can be empirically measured now. And it can be measured not only by what the manager, what the leader self-reports, but by what their people say about them too. And then you can get so we do have the opportunity for hard data. So, theoretically, we have the opportunity to, to be the new it kids, so to speak, in the corporate leadership slang of, well, now it's all about your continuity. Now it's all about your FQ3's continuity.
Yeah.
So take that in your servant transformational leadership. And I am a big fan of servant leadership. The spiritual path of servant leadership, absolutely. Absolutely. It's huge. It's so important. And I would go as far to say is that that part is a driving motivator for what we do in FQ3C, because we are all here to be of service and to lead by example and to live that example. So that's my plug for that too.
So that
Okay,
brings
what
up
else do
an
we?
idea.
Yes.
Well, let's
Yes.
stay on that thought pattern, but let's take
Yeah.
leadership and lower it down a little bit. Not. Let me explain what I mean. It kind of sounds bizarre. Yeah. In today's society, more than ever, people are looking for someone to follow. We've got social media gives us fake fantasy people to follow, and everybody knows that, and they're empty because of it. And inside, people are looking for real people to follow. And what's interesting, let me apply this to real estate for a second. Real estate's pretty unique when you're a real estate agent, because you got to figure out how to stay top of mind in these people's eyes for 4 to 7 years. When a real estate agent is helping somebody buy a house, they're pretty big in their world. But after they help them buy the house, every month they get smaller and smaller and smaller, because the other people's world gets bigger and bigger and bigger and has nothing to do with real estate. So that real estate agent is, real small piece of their world, but they still got to figure out how to stay relevant. Well, you stay relevant by in the real estate world is taught to talk about being, know you, like you, and trust you. Well, how do you do that? Well, you stay. We're getting past consistency here. Okay, we're going into continuity where we're talking about, your words, your actions, and your values all have to fall into a line. And you have to be able to communicate to this people on a regular basis, because the more they see it, the more they will continue to trust you and think favorably about you. But when you're not doing that, and again, I'm staying with continuity. This is not consistency, because you can have continuity that is. Let's see. Let me figure out how I'm going to say this. You can have authenticity is what the word I'm looking for. You can be authentic in intention, but you lack the continuity in your lifestyle and in your habits, and your brand will not reflect your truth. So it's extremely important to be able to live and speak who you are and the values you want. That's what creates certainty and stability and respect. We're afraid of uncertainty. You know, as a lot of the people I work with, they start buckling when things are moving towards uncertainty, and they start trying to control what they can't control, which are the constraints, the external constraints that we've learned about that they run into. And why do they try to control that? Because they're trying to grasp control of something. It's like chaos, you know. So they're constantly trying to control things that they're not meant to control, instead of taking a step back and learning to adapt. And this is a small minor form of leadership, if you want to put it that way. People are looking for people to follow. You know, take it up to a higher level. You know, with a corporation, you know, people don't want to follow somebody that's charismatic. They will for a little bit, but then that the charisma will get burned out. I've seen it a billion times. Charismatic people start something, but usually never lasts. The only thing that lasts are when they have a business savviness to them too. But if they don't have a busy savviness, they'll build something, and it'll work for a couple of years, but then it collapses because there's no there's no FQ3C behind it.
I think
So-
no, I'm sorry, keep going.
No, it's all right. Saying people want to follow a leader whose words and actions and values align with each other. That's what they're looking for, and that's what continuity is.
Yeah, that's also what conviction looks like.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, it's somebody who's convicted is authentic. I think what's interesting though is that you can be authentic in your lack of conviction, which is fascinating. That's a fascinating thing to think about. And as it comes to like leadership, that's sometimes how some of these people end up getting followings, because they're like a Sophocles or Plato. You know, those guys are not convicted on anything.
Right.
Zero. They just ask a lot of questions, and it's a lot of curious questions. And so it's very authentic in their willingness to be completely not convicted on anything in their life.
Holistic.
Huh?
Somewhat holistic from the top down, bottom up.
Yeah, but I think that's what he's talking about, where like authenticity and continuity really does align.
Yeah.
Because their whole continuity shtick is, I have no conviction, and you can observe it with the rest of their life in every facet. It was like conviction was not the term you would use for those people. But you know, it's authentic because it's been always that way, and so you can follow the authentic, non-convicted path. I guess goes in.
I call it authentic and
It's authentic skepticism.
Authentic what?
Authentic skepticism.
Yeah. But okay, now here's, if they're so gung-ho about never wanting to be convicted, and that's their authenticity, is that actually them just having an FQ3C that's convicted to being not convicted?
Of course.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the
sounds like
different.
something Elizabeth would say.
Not necessarily. So it's kind of like what I'm hearing and seeing here is the difference between the circuit leadership, where it's doctrine and everything, you believe this way or no way, and it's our way or the highway, as to let's just keep evaluating and determining what the best growth pattern is and stay open to continuing questioning holistically.
Yeah.
But both have their framework, because John spoke to the aspect of how some people need that psychological sense of safety. And that's what the circuit kind of leadership gives people. They know what the rules are, and they can easily stay in that framework if they don't deviate out. But there's the perspective that for a lot of people that, but I don't always feel that way. I don't want to always be stuck in that mold. I want to be able to also try out other things and not feel as if I'm going to be damned for it. You know, my opportunity to be a creator, and for those of us who have certain beliefs, we understand the power of the fact that we are created as creators. That's our strongest suit, of being able to have these hands that can create more things. Now, does that make us any better than any other animal or element on this planet? No, because a lot of those things can actually demolish us. But working in unity and each person being able to be a part of, with all our strengths, there is no weakness. And we unify. And the leadership tool there is the inclusion and ability to enjoy the diversity. And that, like, it's almost, in a way, if you want to simplify it, the difference of when you want to eat orange and when you want to have a steak. Which one suits the situation best? That's real basic. But
Yeah.
FQ3C on that is exactly that. What is the definition of the quality, and where does that come in with beliefs and values, and what good and bad is determined by the perceiver. And that's what makes this so beautiful.
Leadership and continuity.
Yeah.
So, Amy,
live your message.
Yeah, I think what Amy was kind of touching on, and this is not to take away from anything you said, this is to actually just go in another direction. She did bring up the element of like this reporter saying that it's not quantifiable, it's purely subjective. It's done by the manager themselves saying, "Oh yeah, I'm an authentic leader."
Mm-hmm.
And I think what she might have been trying to get to and give us a carrot here to chew on is the fact that because they're pulling the data from the actual manager themselves, that's actually the consistency strain. And because they're so focused on the consistency strain itself, they're missing out on the fact that, hey, listen, if you actually look to the continuity, that's how you're going to get your better data to then understand the consistency strain. And we have that holistic observational tool to look at both of them at the same time. And I will say this, from the corporate side, I don't think it's anybody's fault. I think the fact is that people who have a manager are fearful that the manager has this crazy amount of power to make their time there really good, or they're going to lose their job, for example.
Exactly.
And the problem is that's totally true. It absolutely is. But what's also fascinating is in all of my historical jobs that I ever did have, it was by me directly tackling that and being willing to be the bull in the bull in the china shop, if you will. It allowed me to have such leadership. I kind of took it from them in a way that all of a sudden I became invaluable to the team because I was the only person who, from the jump, set the tone and set the example and set the expectations that you as a manager are here to serve me, not the other way around. And so it was able to make it so that I, as part of the continuity, am able to be open to providing that feedback. And I can feed it back to them, not only a third-party observer, but also they become actually a winner for my continuity as well, which is where the relationship starts to take place and where that leadership is able to start manifesting within that dichotomy. And next thing you know, even though I'm technically bottom of rung, I'm able to do whatever the heck I basically want to, as long as it's not illegal, and it becomes valuable. And then everybody else is able to have a person that they can use as their mouthpiece, because I'll just say it. Yeah.
Which, of course, is another form of leadership.
Yeah. And so that's the other interesting thing is by leveraging and understanding the dichotomy between the variables of continuity to their consistency and my consistency to their continuity, you can position yourself as a leader. And it's scary. It's definitely not the passive route, but by setting those expectations, you became almost this weird in between who is going to question like Plato, but also who's there understanding the structure of what's been placed for our success and actually filling the cup or filling that bowl to the maximum that you can inside of the parameters that have been provided. So it's a cool balance that can take place. I mean, that's how I negotiated for like company vehicles, and I negotiated for opportunities for raises or super flexible schedules that I literally was able to call up my manager and be like, hey, I don't want to come in today. And it wouldn't me in any shape or form because I had a different contract that went against HR. So what are you going to do? I have a different contract. You can't hold me against that standard.
Yeah. Well, speaking of holding to standards, before we wrap it up, let's talk about our Voldicorps, clues. Now, for those of you who don't know yet, and most of you don't because we're still kind of new at this and building the following, like and subscribe, folks, share it with your friends and neighbors. We have a segment that we're introducing. We call it the Voldicorp. And our Voldicorp, the backstory is simply that we had connections to a company that shall not be named. And that made us think of Voldemort from Harry Potter. Yep. And then we spontaneously coined the phrase Voldicorp. And there you go. So the idea is to look for examples of companies, entities, individual, public people. There are no sacred cows here. Anybody and anything is on the table.
Yeah.
We're looking at it from the point of view.
I want to be clear here for a second. Our connection with this company that shall not be named was not actually us doing anything bad. It was they actually screwed us over. So
right.
That's why.
Which is a lot like what Voldemort. Just saying, like, and Voldemort did the same thing. Yeah. So
we should do this with politicians.
Yep. Yeah. Hang on just a minute here. Got people going by.
We got politicians.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
So anyway, we have this idea here of talking about examples of this, and especially from the point of view that you can have a very strong FQ3C score setup system, high in your consistency, high in your continuity, high in your everything, because you genuinely are, believe that what you're doing is good, and yet how does it really hold up? Does it really hold water? For whom is it really good? Is it good for you? Is it good for the people around you? That becomes the interesting question. So we have been exploring different examples of this, and the challenge is to create clues, and then next episode, and then the next time we guess. And we invite you all to, as you watch, even if you're watching recordings later, drop your idea of a Voldicorp, just the clues, not the actual, don't name the name. Just drop clues and let's all see if we can guess. And at some point here, we'll set this up and we'll have a contest and there'll be fun giveaways and swag and good fun stuff like that. So what
Don't
was
use
our,
AI.
what do we have?
Don't
What
use
do we
AI.
have to,
Have fun guessing.
don't use what?
Don't use AI. This is for you to have a chance to have fun guessing.
Yes, yes. Don't use just guess. Just try and use your noggin. Try and use your noggin. Or other, you know, and you might need to do research. You know, go to the library, read a book, check a newspaper, talk to people. Just see what you can find out, you know?
We should give
Yeah, so
away
what,
Elizabeth's boat.
For a good guess,
Yes.
the whole boat for a good guess, that's
yes.
the exchange rate. What, John, if I guess your age, you're gonna give me that boat?
No. Oh. That's an interesting thought.
Yeah. Okay. So what we had some clues. What were our clues from last week? Does anybody here remember?
For yours?
Yeah, we could do mine. So my clues are it's a system that truly genuinely believes that it provides a great approach to achieving a goal, and it fails miserably.
I know what this one is. Unfair if I take a guess. You guys can have the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think it'd be fair if I guessed on that one either.
Probably not
Yeah.
too smart.
Ah,
Smart at all.
yes.
Yeah.
Come
It is.
on.
What?
Yes.
What?
Huh? Which way did it go, George?
What happened? An event that shall not be named. That's what just happened.
Okay. Oh, is that a
Yeah.
is that a,
That was another set of clues for y'all.
yes, an event that shall not be named. Yes. Okay. There are so many of those.
And then you were next, Shane.
Yeah.
So mine ended up helping create the tools that tracked the Nazis, or sorry, that tracked the Jews
Yes.
who were being, well, used as a whatever inside of the Nazi concentration camps. So those like barcodes and everything else, that whole entire
Mhm.
frame, whole entire system was done by this Voldacorp, who still exists today.
Yeah.
Still
Mm.
exists today. That was a pretty crappy thing. You know who you are.
Yeah.
And if my guess as to who yours is, they definitely go up and go down. Or am I wrong?
I'm not sure what you mean by go up and go down. That could reference a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think every company goes up and goes down. Are we talking about stocks here?
You don't know. You got to put it.
Sure.
Yeah. If it's the company I'm thinking of.
Goes up and goes down.
Because you said they created
They created the technology and the system to track. It was created just for this.
tracking. Okay.
Track the Jews as they were being captured and deported and everything else to the concentration camps and all that stuff. So all those Jews who like walked away with a barcode, this was the company that actually created those systems and tools.
Then it's not the one I'm thinking of. I don't think.
Yeah. So they were bought out by the Nazis to provide this service.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then
Okay, so that one is still on the table. We do not have an answer for that. So that's one for your history books, folks.
And then mine is a company that created a product that actually promoted the United States people to be some of the highest rates of death and or distress in being able to overcome COVID, to the point where we won an article called "The Year America's Hair Fell Out" because of how hard it hit our system. And I'll give you one more little clue, is that the company that actually commercially first really made it distributed could potentially mislead people to think that, and I'm going to make it easy, one of our presidents might have been involved with it.
There's a lot of potentials I got in my head.
All I know is that when I use the product, I get acid reflux so bad I start coughing.
Interesting. Is this Tums?
I help people.
I was not expecting acid reflux is the next thing coming out of that mouth.
Acid reflux and losing your hair. Okay.
And losing your hair, acid reflux.
Yeah. Well, I think
Both
the connection is the same company.
Product. So the company, who's pretty they're going to end up on a lot of our Voltacorp segmentations here is DuPont.
Yeah.
Just wow, their track record is something to look at. That rap sheet, they are worse than the mafia for any damages they've ever done, like by far. It's been going on for ages. So many things that they've been part of. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Crazy.
There's a lot of companies out there like this.
How about, you know what? Just as many out here in Colorado. We have Monsanto.
Yes, that was my first one, John. When we first started doing this. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's an easy one.
Yeah. So for Elizabeth, I'm going to put DuPont on the list because I think that they got a good solid 75% chance of meeting those criteria. I'm going to put it on there. They've been involved in all sorts of stuff, and medicine is one of those things. So I'm going to put them as my guess. I know for a fact what Amy's is, so I'm not going to throw that out there.
As we all do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that one was kind of a no-brainer. That
Well,
was
for
pretty
us,
easy.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some other people aren't going to know. They're not going to be able to figure it out. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. And Elizabeth, I was going to say Pfizer, but that's just because of the COVID connection. And
could be AbbVie as well.
Yeah. Well, we're just going to have to find out. We're to tune
John,
in.
do you have a guess? So what is your Voltacorp?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out how it works.
What it is, think of it like this. Just look up really terrible events or events where like there were cases where people got lawsuits and stuff like that. And you just find one of those things. And then what you can do is just be like, all right, cool. What was the company that facilitated this whole entire fiasco? Congratulations, you got a bold. Yeah. That's one way to do it. The other way is just look into history and look up the craziest, wildest stuff, and then just ask yourself which company or companies were involved in making this possible.
And didn't care and continue to do it even after they discovered that it's harming people.
Like blue glowing toothpaste.
the plant or something. Like what? What did you say? I'm sorry, John.
Blue radioactive glowing toothpaste.
Sure. Especially if it's still going today. Or, you know, if they're just like, they're like, yeah, we killed 1,600 kids.
Yeah.
Here's $5 for you. For you and your family. Like, dude, we paid more for the toothpaste. That'd be a Vodacard thing.
Yeah, and it goes on and on. And with that, we're gonna wrap it up here. And I want to thank you all for another great hour of the roundtable and all the great discussion. And next week we are going to we're going to move from continuity. We're going to move into clarity. And there's a lot that goes on into clarity too. And one thing feeds into another and feeds into another and feeds into another. And if you all enjoyed this and want to see more, we have a wonderful session that you can join. There'll be links in the notes there. And it's called Fundamental Fridays. It's Fun Fries every Friday. And 8 p.m. Eastern time. So adjust it for wherever you are. If you're out here in Southeast Asia, it'll be your 8 a.m. because you are 12 hours into China time, right on the other side of the clock, which is nice. And it's a great opportunity just to come in and check it out and say, what the fork is FQ3C? And what do you mean by frequency and all these words? And then we just go over it and we practice it. And you have an opportunity to do that too with these wonderful people, all these wonderful people, the Shane, the John, the Elizabeth, and
soon
The
other people.
Cummings.
And yes.
And soon who?
TJ Cummings.
TJ Cummings. Shane, you want to tell us about that? That's exciting.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so FQ3C and also what's called Rise to Succeed are joining forces. And TJ Cummings, who started Rise to Succeed, has decided to bring everything together. And he's going to be learning right now how to do the presentation, everything else for Fun Fry, because the fundamentals that we do there were so mind-blowing to him and so amazing that he decided that it had to be integrated into his process, into his program. So we're going to be bringing R2S underneath the umbrella of FQ3C. And these fundamentals are something like you've never heard before. I mean, this is an ex-NBA player for the Milwaukee Bucks. And to put it another way, his dad was actually a 3-time All-Star champion. You can look him up as well. His dad was Terry Cummings. And this is a guy who had Michael Jordan coming over to his home and hanging out at dinner with his family, right? It's that type of level of playing and caliber of him and his dad, what they were able to do. And yeah, he just loves it so much. He wants to bring it to the rest of the athletic world. And so he will be now learning how to do the presentation and will be one of the main presenters. So if you want to see some stardom, you want to get some access, be around it, you can start coming to the Fun Fries, and as long as you catch him on the right week, he'll be there, and he'll be sharing his incredible story. He has such a unique perspective, and have somebody of that caliber to say yes, FQ3C is the way he even got there. That's the way his dad got there. Is incredible. So we're very, very excited for that.
And one of the cool things that I like to share with people is our format and layout for giving you a FQ3C from the roundtable and discussion is to help you understand in the Fun Fry what you're hearing and seeing, and the one complements the other. So coming to both, you'll get to rewire sooner than later.
Yeah, no kidding.
But not as fast as if you book with either John, me, or Shane, or just go ahead and become a certified implementer.
Yeah, fastest ways to do that, that's for sure. That's where we've seen the most progress by any individual, hands down, is when you go through the certification process. And it could take up to 35 hours total. It could be even more than that. The cool thing is that we work with you until you get to the level of where, hey, listen, you're using FQ3C instinctively within your life, within your business, and within your daily activities, and you're able to view the world in that way. So yeah, it's a wonderful method to go about that. And then of course we have other tools and stuff like that. But seriously, Fun Fry, that's a great place to start as well, and it's completely free. So would love to see you guys there. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Thank you, everybody. It's been wonderful as always. So from Da Nang, Vietnam, I would say kudos. See you on the other side. And let's have a great rest of our week, and see you on Fun Fry, and see you at the next round table. Shane.
Kudos, everybody. Be on the other side.
Lisbeth.
Kudos. See you on the other side.
And John.
Kudos. See you on the other side.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome.
Okay, streaming stopped.
Yeah. So